Hey guys, it's Ryan here from Explained, and in today's video, we'll be watching a Russian-American dark fantasy science fiction movie called Branded, which was released in 2012. So, let's get started. Turn on the subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts with young Misha Galkin, who wakes up unfazed by his fever and looks up at the night sky. He sees the stars shift into a cow-shaped constellation, which turns to look at him. Moments later, he's struck by lightning. A woman who later checks upon him comments that he will have an abnormal life. Over the following years, Misha uses his natural ability to become an important marketing executive. Next, we see a prize presentation ceremony in which he meets a gorgeous girl named Abby. Since she is the niece of his American boss Bob, at the time Misha has been working under Bob, who's quite controlling. Misha's looking forward to gaining a partnership in the agency, but he hasn't really progressed much on that. Moreover, he receives a warning from Bob to stay away from his niece Abby. Next, we see a well-known old marketing guru named Joseph Pascal on a private Polynesian island. He meets the executives of the world's fast food chains. They aim to make the fast food industry profitable again. Joseph plots a scheme to help conquer Russia with a fast food chain, the Burger. They plan to change public perceptions in beauty and make fat the new fabulous. On the other hand, we see that Misha is getting close to Abby despite Bob's strict warning. They both often meet up and their friendship keeps growing. One day, Abby shares that she wishes to become a producer after completing her internship. Misha, being a gentleman, boosts her to follow her dreams. He then tells Abby that he's experienced in marketing films. His current project on a horror movie is an enormous success. Even though Misha is delivering his best performance at the company, Bob has no intention of promoting him as a partner. Next, we see Misha remembering his old days when he first met Bob years ago. Back then, Misha had just graduated from college and became a salesman at a convenience store. He showed his best work to boost sales of the store by his excellent marketing strategies, but to no avail. He was never recognized and did not get his credit. He was later fired by the store owner. From then onwards, he decided to take his payment in advance before giving any of his advice. After losing the job at the convenience store, Misha initiated an advertising startup on his own, but he didn't have much money at the time, so he loaned a big sum from his friend. The friend demanded him to pay it back within a week, but Misha was unable to return the money. To his rescue came Bob, who offered to clear his debts. Misha was quite shocked to see someone giving him that amount of money. At first, Misha suspected Bob to be some kind of American spy, but later he was moved by Bob's business goals. Next, we see Misha working under Bob, and soon after, Russia is filled with advertisements designed by him. Other than that, Bob demanded Misha to make a voice recording and submit it to him for every discussion held with the clients. In other words, he works as a marketing executive and part-time spy for Bob's spy operation. Misha used to get quite frustrated every time he had to make a recording and send it to Bob. Back to the present time. Misha advises Abby to make her own production company, but Abby says she's too poor to do it. Having fallen for Abby, Misha offers to run a new reality TV show named Extreme Cosmetica together with her. The theme of this show is an overweight woman will undergo plastic surgery to become thin. Over time, Misha and Abby get more close to each other. Misha captures the eyes of Abby and she aspires to make him a partner in work as well as her personal life. So their close friendship grows quickly into a love relationship. One day, Misha and Abby are making out in the middle of heavy traffic. Unexpectedly, Bob is also stuck in traffic and sees them making out in the very car next to him. Needless to say, Misha gets punched by Bob right away. Afterward, Misha and his team go through the process of picking the most lovely lady for their show. They finally find a lady named Greasy to play guinea pig for their reality show. The first few episodes get high ratings, but later Greasy decides to back out of the show one day before the plastic surgery. Abby feels sorry for Greasy, but Misha reassures Abby that everything will be okay. So the process with plastic surgery goes on as planned. The day of her surgery comes and Greasy becomes a lean, beautiful girl, but she doesn't wake up following the operation and instead falls into a coma. Next, we see Joseph, who thinks that this is his best time to roll out his action plans. He wants to give Misha's business a harsh blow. He first defames the couple in secret by releasing the video of Greasy begging Misha to let her withdraw from the show. Once the video is made public, the nation is outraged by Misha and Abby's promotion of beauty as skinny. Since Greasy remains unconscious, Misha's office building is raided by protesters. The public turns against the show, as well as the glorification of thin body types. As soon as Misha leaves his office, he's attacked by the protesters and ends up being detained in the police station. Abby is also arrested later. Joseph continues to leverage the population's anger toward the issue and get Misha jailed for being deceitful. Having his sentence served and his reputation tarnished, Misha contacts Abby. To his shock, Abby is forced to leave Russia and she is returned to the United States. The couple can't even have a good chat over the phone due to the poor reception. Misha makes up his mind to investigate the matter and he first visits Bob to confront him. Misha has realized that the show and the woman's coma were staged by fast food companies such as The Burger. However, Bob denies the accusation, claiming that such a plan would require too many resources. So Misha sits down with Bob for a heartfelt talk. He wants to understand why Bob hired him in the first place. During the conversation, Misha reveals to Bob that he fabricated the report as his first spy task. Knowing that Misha cheated him, Bob's blood starts to boil and he has a cardiac arrest which leads to his death. Struck by Bob's death, Misha breaks down and feels guilty for his role in the fate of the Extreme Cosmetica contestant. He's led to think that his talent in marketing is nothing but evil, so he decides to quit marketing and leave Moscow. On the other hand, his enemy Joseph has risen to the top of the marketing world. 6 years later, we see that the Fat is Fabulous campaign is successful. Most people are overweight, and advertising images now focus on the change in perception of the ideal body type. Meanwhile, Abby returns to Russia and looks for Misha. She finally tracks Misha to a rural community where he lives as a simple cowherd. During the time of their separation, Misha has become a shepherd, forsaking all modern conveniences. Abby's upset that Misha gave up his ambitions and chose to backslide, but Misha does not take her advice. On that night, Misha has a strange dream and is shown what he must do. In his dream, he sees himself performing the red cow ritual. The ritual meant sacrificing a red cow and bathing in its ashes. When Misha wakes up, he clearly remembers the instructions and carries them out after he bids farewell to Abby. At dusk, Misha brings a red cow into a sacrificial pyre he has built and slaughters the cow. He then sets the entire pyre on fire and watches it burn to ashes. When the day dawns, Misha puts some of the ashes into a vessel and bathes with it facing the sun. Soon after, all is done. Misha faints away and gets picked up by Abby. Misha wakes up in the back of Abby's car during their ride to Moscow. When he wakes, he discovers that he can see strange creatures that appear to be the embodiment of marketing brand desires. They cling to people's necks and no one except for Misha can see them. He also sees an ugly creature attached to Abby. However, Abby's not aware of its existence. To his surprise, greasy is now the new fashion in Moscow, where obese figures dominate the advertisements. At Abby's house, Misha finds out that he has a son named Robert. It's no coincidence that the boy also has a monster behind his back. Both Abby and Robert are unaware of the dark creatures attached to them, but Misha cannot pretend that these creatures do not exist. He repeatedly tells Abby the monsters are real, but she's not feeling any of it. Misha begins to do some research and finds the record of the red cow ritual online. Slowly, he discovers that the beast attached to his son is feeding on the boy's desires for food, and each of them stands for a kind of junk food. Apart from the monsters, it seems that the family of 3 are living their lives happily. Abby has inherited a huge sum of money from her Uncle Bob, and Misha is getting along well with her son. Still, he could see the monster behind her son all the time, and the beast kept changing its shape. One day, while Abby and her son are not in the house, Misha destroys all the food he could find from the fridge and on the dining table. Unexpectedly, Abby and the son return early to see him making such a scene. Misha explains that fast food causes him to see strange things. The bigger a person's desire, the bigger the monster. Misha can tell that people around him have become desperate for the things that they do not need. Their consuming behavior is shaped by branding and marketing strategies. Abby does not buy into Misha's ideas and she suggests he should get some mental help. She is frightened by his behavior and leaves, taking their son with her. Soon after, several news reports suggest that an unknown disease which has been named the mad cow disease with a high fatality rate is spreading. At the same time, Misha sees more and more organic forms attaching to people. Struggling in his confusion and shock, Misha has pushed away Abby, who wants to help him. Abby stands up and leaves Misha in disappointment. When Misha returns home, Abby and their son have left the house. Another bad news arrives as the virus is said to be spreading fast. From his balcony, Misha looks at parasitical balloon animals that represent evil forces of consumerism floating above the city. On the second day, Misha attends a job interview at a Chinese vegetarian restaurant and spots an ugly branding creature behind the board members of the restaurant. Having shared his insights of the business prospects based on market analysis, he offers the board of directors a bold strategy for success. Strangely, his presentation style is identical to that of Joseph when he was pursuing the CEO of fast food franchise The Burger. When the upper management approves his plan, Misha requests them to build a beef testing kit and shows them a design of it. In an advertisement, the testing kit is used to detect the mad cow disease virus. As such, the fear of beef is planted on the consumers. Though the campaign proves successful, the government bans it. Sales plunge to a record low and its advertising is banned. So the directors are anxious, but Misha seems quite cool and says this is expected. Moreover, he advises the directors to quickly franchise across the country and invest more in promoting the brand. This time around, luck is on Misha's side. The government official who hinders them passes away, and vegetarianism emerges as the new trend. Even the burger addicts fall for their food. Moreover, Misha observes that there's an egg floating on top of their restaurant and it's going to hatch soon. Finally, a beast is hatched and flies around the city. To Misha's amazement, the vegetarian beast goes around to attack and liquidate other creatures. Having achieved this agenda, Misha cannot wait to share his success with Abby. He calls her but only reaches her voicemail box. Joseph confesses to the clients that he can do nothing about the current drawback. Upon finishing his statement, he's struck by lightning and disappears. Even though Abby learns from the news that Misha defeats the enemy, she does not return to him. Misha is back to his busy days. All the brands are running after him. He's capable of selling all kinds of brands no matter what the products are. However, within a year, the world's economy is disturbed and brands are attacking each other to gain popularity. This then leads to a war of branding beast. As a result, public opinion turns against branding and advertising. The anti-advertising protesters assault the employees in Misha's building. When Abby's dating someone else, she sees the news about Misha. He's beaten up by the rioters, but thankfully the injury is not serious. Misha knows that the consumers are not happy with his strategy. As soon as Misha wants to give up, Abby visits him and patches back with him. However, the riots are inevitable, and Misha ends up getting a hit on the head and falls into a coma. Afterward, an emergency broadcast on television states that Russia and other nations have agreed to ban advertising. In the final scene, Misha wakes in the hospital and plays with Abby and their son. In the same hospital, the extreme cosmetica woman, Greasy, also awakens from her coma to find the Moscow skyline free of billboards. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and also let us know your thoughts on the movie down below in the comments section. And before you leave, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.